Welcome everybody to this week's Dissecting Design. For it, I am going to be taking a look at the Hotline Miami series. One of the more stylistic and yet still very challenging games to come out in some time. Now before we begin, please keep the following in mind. You're not hearing any music right now. Hotline Miami is not only known for its brutal over-the-top gameplay, but also for the fact that it has some very great music that is heavily copyrighted claims. So, in order to keep YouTube from coming down on me, I'm going to have to keep these sound off. Now, the other point is that this game, like I said, is very graphic, and it's probably going to be one of the more graphic, violent games that will be featured in the Dissecting Design series. So, if you have small children around, or you have a weak stomach, you might not want to watch this. And that is actually a part of this discussion, what we'll be talking about in a few minutes. But let's load up a few levels and we can talk more about what is Hotline Miami. So see you all in a second. Alright, so here we are in game. And Hotline Miami, it's all about a top-down perspective, and our mission is to kill everybody in each level. Now, the number of enemies and the level environment itself is hard-coded each time, but their general patterns, as well as what weapons they'll be equipped with, is random each time we play and every time we restart. And trust me, we will be restarting a lot. Again, graphically, this game was built using Game Maker, which is not exactly the most graphically intensive game engine out there, but they really add a lot of style, especially with the neon background and the kick-ass music, which unfortunately you can't hear right now. It's time to earn that M rating. Oh. High scores are about chaining kills together. Oh. And without missing a beat. Oh, jeez. Peekaboo. I'll take that. Now, like I said, the AI of the game is pretty random. Sometimes they will hear you, sometimes they will not. And we'll talk more about what that means later on in our little discussion. They can see me through windows. Windows in Hotline Miami are very dangerous. Oh, jeez. Because unless you have a gun, they can see you, but you can't see them. Or you can't attack them, I should say. Oh, like that. And a lot of the gameplay of Hotline Miami is about trying to get that perfect run. Come on. Notice me. There we go. He saw me, but he's not coming for me. So melee weapons don't make any noise. However, range ones will sometimes attract enemies, but again, sometimes it won't. That's it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. And there's one more enemy. There we go. Once you've killed all the enemies on the floor, you'll move on to the next part. The game checkpoints. Oh, jeez. The game will checkpoint every time you've cleared a floor, but not until after that. So it is still very possible to kill every enemy except for one, and then find yourself dead. Also, notice I'm using Shift to zoom out, or to zoom my targeting out. This is required because, as you can see, the camera will not let you focus on everything without it. And keep that in the back of your mind because it will play a factor as we get later in. Now I'm going to get killed, I bet. Oh, no, we're still alive. But 2 rounds is definitely not a lot to kill a bunch of goons. And again, the levels are hard-coded around this. There we go. This time I'm going to keep my gun. Also, if you notice, I was throwing my weapon to stun enemies. That's a little bit more of the advanced play of the game. Now, enemy types are kept very consistent in Hotline Miami. You have your normal thugs, dogs. Oh, jeez, almost got him. And there's also like heavy enemies along with like a few mini-boss encounters. But the rules don't really change all that much. It just gets more and more challenging. Jeez, I didn't even see that guy coming. Also, you can go through 20 bullets very quickly, as you can see here. And I know I am dying a lot, but keep in mind that even for people who like speedrun this game, it's so random that you will most likely die no matter what you do. Again, not exactly a PG-13 game, as you can see. Now we should almost have this place taken care of. Got it. So the chapter cleared. We can head back to our car, or should I say our DeLorean, and then get the hell out. And the game will grade you on how well you killed all the enemies, kept your combos, and stuff like that. But now that we've talked about the basic gameplay, we'll move on and talk a little bit about, I guess, the quote-unquote progression or unlocking system in the original Hotline. So we'll see you all in a second. Alright, welcome back. So, in the original Hotline Miami at least, one of the major parts of the game is using different masks. And I've unlocked quite a bit of them. I think I've unlocked all of them in the original game. And they each provide some kind of weird or beneficial effect to the game. So stuff like Zack is used if you want to go for higher combos. Oscar just blinds a screen. Walking faster, more melee. French translation. And as you can see, there's quite a bit. So I'm going to put on the Jake mask. And you'll see what that will do. So now when I throw a weapon, it counts as a kill. Unless they kill me first. Oh, I'm holding a knife. Again, sometimes enemies will spy you, and sometimes they will not. Oh, jeez, I can't believe I missed that one. There's definitely an ebb and a flow to the combat in Hotline Miami. And getting that sense of flow is really important to surviving and going for your high scores. Using my throwing there. Now, while it may not look it, the different weapons have different firing ranges or firing speeds or arcs. So shotguns are really good for guaranteeing a hit, but you can get as much kill with a pistol as you can or a machine gun with anything else. Goodbye. Again, there's 2 guys in this room. So I'm going to keep doing this, and you'll notice that at some point someone will see me. Got him. I will take... we'll take the gun. Another potential strategy is to just stay in one area, shoot a few rounds, attract the enemies, and just kill them like that. It may not be fair, but considering what we're going up against, all's fair in love and war, right? Again, notice that the guy up there didn't hear me, but the two guys down here heard that shot. Uh-oh. That's not good. And then sometimes the levels will throw in weird little twists, such as this one when the police show up to make your life even harder. Yeah, and the general play of the game of trying to move fast is kind of counterbalanced by the fact that you really have to take your time if you want to survive. So I think this is when the police should be showing up. There we go. Gotta run. Can we kill the police in this? No. Yeah, I'm gonna get busted right here. Oh no, we made it. And again, as the story of the game is very trippy, and we'll see that when we get to Hotline Miami 2. But as you can see, the game is definitely built around the unpredictability of the AI, for better and for worse. And we could sit here and go through every level of the first game, but I also wanted you to take note of how big each floor was. Remember, the game only checkpoints once a floor or quote-unquote stage has been cleared, because that will play into things when we get to Hotline Miami 2 next. But let's switch over and we'll see the massive jump in terms of style with the sequel. Alright, welcome to Hotline Miami 2. So this is the sequel, and the developers certainly went overboard when it came to expanding the Hotline Miami mythos. Just about every system from the first game has been touched upon and iterated, from level design to the enemies, to weapons, and of course the soundtrack. But this is also when the violence gets really extreme. And I hate to do this to folks, but in order to talk about the level of violence, I need to show off the most controversial scene. And what got Hotline Miami 2 in some of the muddy waters or troubled waters when the game was first released. So, fair warning, we're about to see something very graphic. Now the games all play as VHS snuff films too. Yeah, skip the intro, let's just get right into it. So while I am showing this off, violence in video games, as we've talked about before, is a very controversial topic. And it's very interesting about how things are perceived by the consumer. When it comes to a lot of video games, usually the more over-the-top the violence there is, it's balanced by the absurdity or the unrealistic or the unrealism of the situation. So it's okay to see over-the-top insane stuff if we're looking at 2D pixel art. But when we're dealing with games that look very realistic and use very violent imagery, this is when people usually have trouble with it. It's kind of the difference between Grand Theft Auto versus the evolution of Saints Row. Both series deal with over-the-top violence, but Saints Row went completely in terms of cartoony to counterbalance that compared to the earlier games in the series. Now, with something like Hotline Miami, the original game was, even though it was over the top and violent, just like this one was, again, we're not dealing with realistic characters and realistic graphics. But it still got in trouble for this scene. So, fair warning, folks, it's about to get a little bit graphic depending upon your own tastes. Yeah, but this caused a lot of controversy. And it goes back to the very famous discussion of what's worse or what's more extreme, sex or violence. And I can tell you that we aren't going to be answering that in this video here. But that was the most graphic scene in Hotline Miami 2, and again, it caused a lot of people to get very heated, to the point that the developers put in an option or a toggle to remove that scene for people. But there was, of course, the arguments over, well, you're okay with the violence, but this is considered too much. And something tells me there's going to be a lot of interesting comments about that below. But with that said, I'm going to skip ahead and we'll talk a little bit more in terms of the gameplay of Hotline Miami 2. So see you all in a second. Alright, so one of the bigger improvements to the Hotline Miami formula that happened in number 2 was integrating the characters and the progression into the game itself. And that can be seen with the choices. In the original Hotline Miami, you basically just had a full list of masks for every level. Some were good, some were bad, and some just you never used. In Hotline Miami 2, your choices are now integrated into the story themselves. So for some levels of the game, you play as the Fans. This is a group of vigilantes who basically modeled themselves after the original character, or Jacket, as he's called, to then go out and kill. So you choose one of the Fans, including a pair, and that determines your abilities for said level. So for instance, if I choose Mark, his little thing is that he has dual machine guns. And he can do this. Well, surviving better, that is. And you can be a badass akimbo. Again, really great music, which you can't hear right now. But now we can do this. Die. And then run out of ammo. And again, the rules are kept the same, as in run out of ammo, or one hit and you are dead. Can I pick up ammo with him? I forget. But each fan has their own unique quirk and their own abilities as well. Level cleared. And of course, we go out. Not bad. And again, the same very exaggerated style for the gameplay. But after that level, again, this very beautiful transition scene, we get another character. And a lot of the story of Hotline Miami 2 is about switching between the various people involved. Each one has their own unique gameplay, some levels better or worse. And we'll talk about some of the issues with this game in a few minutes. But now we're playing as a detective who plays more like your traditional Hotline Miami character. He comes with a gun to start with. And again, notice that the violence has been upped, I guess you could say, from the original. Grab the gun. But I do like the difference of the characters. One level or one character is a pacifist who only starts killing if you start brutalizing characters enough. And again, the AI is as inconsistent as it was before. Sometimes they'll see you, sometimes they will not. Goodbye. That should be the level. And that's that. Also, I hope you notice that this area right here, or this floor, is probably bigger than some of the levels of the first Hotline Miami. Because we're going to be talking about some of the issues with Hotline Miami 2 in the next section, and this is a pretty big one. So, with that said, let's move on, and we'll kind of talk about how, even though they've evolved the game, it kind of, Hotline Miami 2 is not looked at as favorably as the first one. Although you do get effects like this with clothes. So, I'll see you all in a second. Alright, welcome back. So it's time to talk about, I guess, the elephant in the room, or in this case, the pig butcher in the room, with some of the issues that Hotline Miami 2 has. Now, when we were looking at Hotline Miami 1, you notice how, again, the unpredictability of the AI definitely added to frustration. But the rooms were kept small enough that you never spent too long stuck in a single area. Hotline Miami 2, unfortunately, adds to this issue. The floors have grown so big that it becomes very hard to keep enemies on screen and even know what's coming. Now, I mean, look at this floor right here, or look at this area that we're in. This is bigger, I think, than even the biggest area in the first Hotline. Which, on one hand, it's great that there's more variety and more things to do, but the gameplay, and specifically the camera, wasn't designed for this. Because you can't keep enemies on screen. And you're going to notice it's going to be very easy for enemies to sneak up on me and attack me without me even knowing that they're there. Now, I just did that on the single go, which is kind of bad because it doesn't prove my point. But the first time I played this, or when I was doing the test before streaming or recording, I died about 15 times in that first level. But again, I'm going to run through. Again, so many attacks are going to happen off screen. Or they should happen off screen. I think my skill of the game is kind of getting in the way of my point. Ooh. Again, over-the-top violence. But you'll run into a situation, especially in the later levels. Now, again, here's a really good point. If I would have kept the screen normal and ran to the right, I would have been picked apart by those guards before I would even see them. Oh, jeez. And the number of windows in Hotline Miami 2 is crazy. There are levels that are just nothing but mirrors and windows, I should say, that will get you killed. Basically, they'll just spot you and snipe you from across the room. Again, you have to make use of the scroll to have any chance of surviving. But you'll still run into situations where you'll be busy zooming and panning the camera around, and the enemy will just walk up and kill you that you didn't even see or even realize they were coming. Again, aiming doesn't help either. So this is one of the big guys. And big guys can only be killed by guns. you'll also run into enemies who can only be killed by melee as well. And while it does change up the formula, it does punish you for, let's say, running out of ammo at the wrong time. Again, the inconsistency of enemies detecting you also comes into play. Sometimes enemy will hear you and come running. Other times you can just mow down an entire room of people and they will not hear you at all. And yet, sometimes the safest thing to do is just to snipe them like that. Now, did we get everybody? Yes, we did. And as a twist here. And again, one thing about Hotline Miami 2, the story's a lot more ambitious. But to really show off just how annoying these can be, I'm going to load up what many people consider to be the most frustrating part of Hotline Miami 2. And then we'll talk about our final thoughts on the game, and I think we'll wrap things up there. So see you all in a second. Alright, here we are in the infamous soldier levels of Hotline Miami 2. In these levels, it flashes back to essentially a war in Hawaii, which if you play the game will sort of make sense. But this is what many people consider to be the most annoying levels of the game. So we choose, instead of picking up weapons, we choose a weapon at the start, and then we have to pick up ammo drops as we go through. But I want you to take note of just how freaking big this level is. I think we're killing more enemies in this single level than we are in like any level of the original Hotline. And remember, as long as you have vision, or as long as there's an empty space, enemies can shoot you. And nope, I can't pick up any ammo. I can switch between melee and range, which is nice. But yeah, I'm running out of ammo now. If I don't find an ammo drop, I can't kill the larger enemies. But in order to get to the ammo drop, I have to go through range enemies who can kill me before I can get close enough. So it runs into that case again where you have to kind of exploit the AI to have any shot of winning. Where's the ammo? Alright, so we cleared all the enemies. But again, just a very wide open area that's not designed for this kind of camera system. I think what they should have done is either kept with smaller areas, but just add more to each level, or zoom things out a little bit. So now I'm going to pick up the ammo. There we go. But I don't have a lot of ammo left. So again, we had to play our shots. Did I kill him? Yeah. But you can see just how annoying a level like this can be for a game design along these lines. Oh, I just got killed off screen without ever realizing there was a guy there. Oh, jeez, again. And this kind of trial and error gameplay is not really looked that favorably upon because a lot of it is just really out of your control. You gotta get lucky based on what enemies see you, what enemies respond to gunfire. So watch right there. See? The enemy attacked me Or he saw me from behind, even though there was no way he could have seen me. But then in another case, I could have done the very same thing, and no one would have saw me. Oh, jeez. Again, we're getting detected by enemies who aren't even on the screen to begin with to see me. And only 10 bullets doesn't make life any easier. And now with no more rounds left, we're in a really bad place. Oh, but thankfully we can just pick up more ammo. But again, look at the size of this level. And like I said, even people who speedrun through Hotline Miami 2, who are experts at this game, they will still die probably a few dozen times unless they get very lucky. And because of this, I have to play things very cool, which kind of betrays the whole speedrun, getting into the flow of killing angle from the original game. Why I can only pick up 10 rounds at a time is anybody's guess. Is this guy dead? No. And yes, you will have cases where you will kill every enemy except for one, and then the last enemy will kill you either because you didn't see them or you just got unlucky, and then you have to repeat the whole section over again. Now here we go with plenty of windows to make your life a living hell. Don't worry, I'm sure I can kill them all. There seems to be a delay while I'm switching weapons. Oh god. But as you can see, this is why this level is kept very frustrating for a lot of people. Now that big guy sees me, I will lose because I don't have the ammo to kill him. Can't pick up anything else. But yeah, this is why a lot of people got very frustrated with Hotline Miami 2. Because it goes beyond just trial and error. It's about sometimes putting yourself in a situation where you can just get screwed because you weren't prepared. Now, look at this. Why is the camera just seems to be your constant enemy in this game? Oh my god. And they will track you. Yes, they will. I think I may be sunk here. The fact that you can't leave the room. What if I can cheese it? Oh, he bled out. I don't know how he saw me. Oh, he saw me through the window there. But again, having to exploit the AI like this? Oh my god, are you kidding me? It's not good. You should never rely on having to use AI exploits in order to have any chance of winning. So So what I'm going to do is just pepper him. He'll just bleed out. And now I gotta hope to kill these guys without detecting the range ones. Who will just kill me like that. But again, it's just not that favorable design to rely on this. So what I'm going to do is basically try and break things again. Again, sometimes they will see you, sometimes they'll hear you, and sometimes they won't do a damn thing. He's going to bleed out. Do you see me, buddy? Huh? Again, so many more guards. Alright. But I think you've seen enough of the problem of Hotline Miami 2. And there are even more levels like this in terms of size and number of enemies. And again, it just seems to contradict the original game's smaller scale, but that sense of flow and pace. And for those of you who managed to get through the whole game, especially if you beat the game on hard mode, what did you think about the difference in design from Hotline Miami 1 to Hotline Miami 2? Let me know in the comments below. But with that said, we'll head back to the title screen for my final thoughts. Alright, so let's wrap up this week's Dissecting Design. I guess using the term dissection is probably very apt for the Hotline Miami series. The original Hotline Miami, I think, struck a chord with gamers thanks to, again, the contradiction of over-the-top, incredibly ultra-violence with the unrealistic pixel graphics. And when you couple that with the fast pace and that sense of flow you get from playing, really help to elevate the game beyond just looking like, again, a very simplistic title. With Hotline Miami 2, developers went with the bigger is better option, but that is not always the case. You have to balance your growth with what your core gameplay loop was, or is in some cases. And I think Hotline Miami 2 goes too far out of the way. Again, if you're going to deal with one-hit kills and, again, checkpoints for each floor, adding more enemies and making the floors a lot bigger just adds to the difficulty. And the game doesn't really grow in terms of complexity in the basic gameplay. While the new characters do mix things up, you're still going to be moving from room to room killing enemies. One thing you didn't see is there are a few levels where one of the fans who can't use any ranged weapons or any weapons at all, I should say, is completely underarmed for some of those levels, especially when you're having nothing but windows where enemies can shoot you and long corridors with no places to hide. And again, it creates a contradiction between what the game wants you to do in terms of that fast-paced move from room to room and kill everyone, versus what you actually have to do, move very slowly, pick off enemies one at a time, and exploit the AI whenever you can, or you'll just get killed off screen. And I don't know if we'll ever see a Hotline Miami 3, but I do hope that we sort of see a pullback from Hotline Miami 2 in terms of those larger areas, or at least do more in terms of the camera. Now, with that said, like I said, let me know what you think in the comments below about these Hotline Miami series, and again, especially about its use of over-the-top violence, which from Hotline Miami 1 and into 2 was always looked at as the game kind of, putting it on you, like, why do you like to play this? And we could get into whole philosophical debates about that one for sure. But we'll end things here for this week. Thanks for watching this week's Dissecting Design. Next week, we will hopefully have music that isn't copyright claim. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think about everything that I said. And check back for daily discussions on game design here and on GameWisdom.com, where we examine the art and science of games, with weekly dissecting designs usually going up on Mondays. So until next time, have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And come back around 10 Eastern for regular streaming. For a collection of my writings as well as weekly podcasts on game development, be sure to check out game-wisdom.com. Follow me on Twitter at GWBicer for updates throughout the day. And to help support everything that I do, you can find me on Patreon under GWBicer or Game Wisdom. Your donations can help to keep things running, and we hit some goals, it will mean more content for everyone to enjoy. So, thanks again for watching, and be sure to come back for daily discussions on game design on the Game Wisdom channel.